Pokemon Legends EA is getting mixed review, and I can see why. I'm conflicted. It's not just this video that I'm putting out today. There is a love letter, a video of all the things that I think the game does so right. Yet for all of that, I am just sitting here thinking, okay, good. But. I feel like there's just so much blatantly wrong with Pokemon Legends EA. I can't not talk about it and share my critiques. I feel like since the Pokemon games moved to 3D from 2D, it's been one step forward, two steps back with basically every single game. Maybe until now, I really am sharing my love in that twin video. But speaking of Pokemon fans sharing their love and the love of those 2D pixel art games, I gotta say a quick shout out to today's sponsor, someone I think you will love. A-Drive, a YouTuber who had so many good ideas about what would make for a good video game, he decided to just go ahead and do one with his brand new game that he's kickstarting right now, Elestrals Awakened. A 2.5D pixel art, beautiful RPG game being built by YouTubers. You might recognize the name Elestrals. It's a TCG made by YouTube's very own A-Drive. And now, as a RPG director for the game, Shady Penguin is on board with the team. Because, yeah, they're taking the world of the cards and putting it into a game form. In an art style that I would beg Pokemon to go back to and to try, at least for a couple different games. But for now, I'm very excited about this project, Elestrals Awakened. Not least so because my wonderful fiance Phoebe did some of the original card art, including designing and drawing some of those first characters, including Sluggle, which is in the game. Sluggle, if you don't know, this is a Sluggle. It's one of my favorites, and it becomes the Incredible, and I gotta show you this. This is Phoebe's art on not just a card, but also a pack. This is Majesty, and I cannot wait to play this game and hopefully get a Majesty. This game is set in a world of ancient Greek mythology. There are mysteries of a Titan war, and you challenge divines such as Zeus and Poseidon. You can bond and collect over 100 different Elestrals to construct a perfect team to challenge the divines with, and use empowerments to enhance the battles or alter the overworld, including the weather and the time of day. You can also ascend or nexus your Elestrals, and now even awaken them to become more powerful in their forms. There are dungeons to explore with puzzles to solve, everything I could ever want in a game like this. If this sounds like something that you'd want to get involved with and support, you can do so using the link in the description to go to the Elestrals Awakened Kickstarter campaign. It's only running from October 14th to October 7th, so there isn't much time, but being a backer is the only way to get hold of that beta and alpha access, as well as a ton of exclusive perks, both in-game and including in the form of Elestrals promo packs and cards. One of the coolest Kickstarter perks is becoming a caster or NPC in the game. This is a game being made by the community for the community. It's already hit its first Kickstarter funding goal, but there is so much more room to go, and the more they raise, the better they can make it. So head on over to the Kickstarter for the Elestrals Awakened game today. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video, and I hope they heed some of my criticisms for Pokemon Legends EA. Starting with the obvious, it's so obvious it punches you in the face the moment you load up the game. It is so unbelievably clear that it is missing
voice acting.
If you are someone that does not think these games need voice acting, I am sorry, I just think you're wrong. I have to hard disagree. The moment the first cutscenes start to play, and especially the big cutscenes in particular, and there's no reason, by the way, it shouldn't all be voice acted, but even with those scenes, especially, like, you've got mouth flaps happening, you have people on screen making the movements and not saying anything with any level of conviction or personality. We're people. We're used to engaging with people. We look people in the eyes and we hear them talk. That was less important back in the day of pixel art. But now here in this game, yeah, we kind of need that for the connection. It feels palpably missing. Even just when it comes to characters in the overworld and on the streets, the little, hey, huh? Oh, watch out! Like, all of that kind of thing. Where is that in the game? It just feels odd and very vacant. I think the reason that ZA in particular is getting a lot of a notice around this is because Scarlet and Violet looked so bad. I think looking was the focus. Now we can actually see the game nice. It would be important to, like, hear it. Speaking of which, let's talk about my criticisms to do with the music. And this is in my plus list. Like, I love a lot of things here I'm critiquing are critiques of the things that I enjoy, but I want to go a little bit deeper. The music is incredible through the entirety of the game, but the overworld, Lumio City, that track, you know the one because if you've been playing, you've been listening to it for nearly 40 hours like I have. I'm a bit sick of it. Why is there no variety in the music of the overworld? Is it just because we're in one place with one kind of biome? Okay, there's the day-night, so it's kind of broken up into halves, but come on. When I think about a game like Breath of the Wild, which sometimes has just gentle little piano notes and sometimes has, you know, kind of moments of silence and eeriness, and certain areas that you enter, and when you enter, certain music in the background begins to swell up. There's so much variety that it makes exploring satisfying. With Lumio City, I am so unbelievably sick of that theme. The music itself is good. The theme is good. I'm just sick of hearing it. I've been playing it for 40 hours, and I think it's at the point now where like I've just had to move this music slider the whole way down, which is a shame because I'm missing the music in battles, but I'm not going to put the slider back up just for battles. So a bit of variety in the overworld was a complete miss in my opinion. But what about the music of the interiors? And absolutely, there are some nice bits of music in the museum and in other interiors. But, you know, there's not very many of those. I have to, of course, wonder what interiors we're talking about. This is a game set in a city. In a city. The key feature of any city is its buildings. Why can we not go in them? Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of incredible games that are set in cities where you don't go in the buildings. I'm thinking specifically like Spider-Man, for example, but Spider-Man, the joy of Insomniac Spider-Man is the way you traverse around the overworld. Like, you wouldn't want to be confined to the inside of a building because you can swing and fly, basically. You can bounce off of stuff and whip around corners. The fun is in the traversal around the buildings. The buildings are the playbox. In a game like Pokemon, where your only method of exploration, a little bit of parkour, is that roto glide, which is nice and it is satisfying to have, it does feel a little bit clunky. Traversing this city and not having anywhere to arrive at is kind of disappointing, other than a few, again, key buildings. And it's a shame because you don't even need to have anything in there other than NPCs living their life. One of my biggest pluses for this game, which I gush about in the things I love about video, one of the things I love the most is the NPCs and the dialogue they provide about the world, the sense of immersion. I think Pokemon, for me, is a fantasy about living in that world, living in that space. Who would I be? Where would I fit into the city? The fact that there aren't many places in the city just feels very, very odd, very, very off. And the fact of the matter is, there's so many NPCs on the streets with like side quests and stuff that could just as easily be placed into buildings. So yeah, building in interiors, but also, as I say, the traversal as well of those spaces. Just using the roto glide, like I think the roller skates from Pokemon X and Y, which I was pretty sure would make a comeback given they're a big part of like the world of X and Y, are sorely missed. My only options for moving around this world are running, walking, or using the roto glide. I'm not saying it needs to be Spider-Man, I'm just saying it needs to be fun to get around. Traveling on Pokemon would obviously be fantastic. Past Pokemon games have had traveling on Pokemon. I'm not really, though, even talking about that. Like, maybe the world would feel too small. Maybe Lumios would kind of shrink if we were climbing over it with Hisuian Sneasler or flying over it with Hisuian Braviary or whatever. But I gotta think that at least a pair of roller skates or some kind of motion that could make turning feel not clunky, or as you're jumping over rooftops could increase the glideability of the rotophone, make it kind of fun to control and not clunky. Something like that feels like, again, another huge missed opportunity, but I hope they are moving in that direction. I talk as well in the positives about the boss battles. There is a lot to enjoy about the boss battles. One of the criticisms, though, of course, is that the boss battles, once you've figured them out, they really are just a case of a battle of attrition, punching the same thing over and over again, dodging at the right times, and it sort of stops being fun and starts being kind of boring. I get it, though. This is a game for kids. It's never going to be like an Elden Ring, a Tunic. It's never going to be a Silk Song. But at the same time, like, I think they're maybe still a little bit too over the line on, like just because something has a big health bar doesn't mean it's a fun challenge. My biggest critique, though, is actually of the final boss. By the way, yes, of course there are going to be spoilers in this. This is a review video. There's spoilers in the other half as well. The final boss is the most boring part of the game, like without question for me. More so actually than the beginning of the game, the tutorial. At least in the tutorial, you're discovering new things. The last 45 minutes of the game, while the scenery and the set piece and the what's happening is really, really interesting, it's totally nullified by the fact that none of it is fun. We swap from playing a game to really watching a movie. There is this weird battle against these flower monsters that is unbelievably boring. I don't even know how to express. It's not difficult. There's a wall of rock that you hide behind. You go out, you aggro it, you come back, you go out, you aggro it, and it takes like 20 minutes, and it's utterly boring. In between which, Zygarde can then help attack and launch an attack on the kind of big bad of the game. It's a quick time event. Is it even a quick time event? Do you need to do it within a certain window? I don't know, because I didn't stick around to watch, because I didn't want to make this battle any longer than it needed to be. It is not a culmination of the skills you've developed over the game at all, in any way. It's not the ultimate rogue mega boss battle. It is just a pointless waste of time that looks nice, but like whatever. The stakes haven't been lower because the only way that you can fail this boss battle is by not playing. I don't know what else to say. For a final challenge in a game, I just think it's super lame. Though, something that may have made it drag out even longer for me is that I might not have been using the optimal C+ moves. The C+ moves, for whatever reason, I don't know why they're called that. I don't know why what the C stands for is like charged or something. I don't really know. For Pokemon that are either Mega Evolved or not, when they're Mega Evolved, they're using their most powerful version of their moves. When they're not Mega Evolved, you can hit the plus button on your Joy-Con to improve the power of your moves. This might not be news to you, but for me and for Phoebe, both when we were playing, it was news to us. We had no idea. I had finished the game already. I didn't know that that's what the plus meant. I just thought the fact the plus was there meant it had been upgraded because I'd used the Pokemon on my party. I wasn't really sure that it meant to press the plus button. I just thought it meant plus power. And what's the C for? I still don't know. I still don't understand. The thing is, there was probably a screen early in the game that explained this, that said this is what you're supposed to do. Pokemon, however, and this is another criticism, loves throwing you explainy screens for the most basic things as if you've never played a video game before, so much so that my brain, as someone who has played a Pokemon game before, skips over them. Because why am I going to watch it explain that if you press A, you interact with something? I'm probably being overdramatic, but you know what I'm getting at. The first few hours of the game train you into ignoring those screens. So when one comes up that actually matters, and there's no other visual indication in the game, I'm sure there'll be comments being like, you're being ridiculous. It's literally a plus button. Click the plus button on the icon. It's not obvious, or it wasn't to me. It certainly wasn't to Phoebe either, and I noticed that when I was live streaming it, a lot of the chat were like, oh, that's what that is. So maybe we're all just idiots. Maybe they were watching it with me and they skimmed over it when I did, but I somehow don't think so. Right, we also have Game in the Way. Yeah, I mean, that kind of ties on to the last problem, right? This is a Pokemon game, and Pokemon games are notoriously, in the last few years, in the way of their own fun. There are so many fun things to do and interact with in the world. Why is it, though, that whenever I interact with them, we have to have like a little, like, very brief loading, kind of like little fade in, fade out as we talk to someone, and they tell us a thing, and then you have to interact with them again to actually activate the thing. I think the classic example that Falcone, my best friend, told me, and I completely agree, early in the game, there is a moment with a Sableye. There's a lady who's lost her ring in a cemetery, and she says she thinks a Pokemon's taken it, and she tells you to go on in and to find the Sableye. So you speak to her, you go into the cemetery, you go across the cemetery, there's a spot on the ground that says, click A to investigate. So you investigate it. The Sableye comes up. Oh, the Sableye might have the ring. Do you want to battle it? Yes, I want to battle it. A to investigate, yes to battle. Why? Just put the Sableye there. Just have it be there. And when you beat it, or when you catch it, initiate the end of that mission. Why is it in the way? It's not just this moment. It is frequent throughout the game. I think they do better than they have done, like in past games, but it's still just a weird holdover from like Pokemon of recent years, where everything is a slog. They get it. They think reading is fun. It's not fun. I'm dyslexic. Maybe that's why I don't know what C+ means. I don't know. This is not enjoyable gameplay. There is an enjoyable game there. I want to get rolling around, catching Pokemon, completing missions, completing my Pokedex, filling out all of the different things that I got to fill out, and exploring the world you're providing for me. You have made my gameplay 40 hours long when it probably was meant to be 35, because it's just silly little moments like this that accumulate and make the game drag. If it sounds like I'm on a tangent, by the way, you should see the video where I'm going on about the stuff I love, because it's much the same thing. It's just me like really good, just telling you all exactly the things I enjoy. Right, okay, let's talk about the yellow notification. Oh my god, this is a pet peeve. I've got like a whiteboard with all my cons on. This one drives me nuts. no matter where you are in the game, unless I guess if you've completed all of the main missions, even in the post game, there is one main mission that you're going to have for a long time. That mission is marked not just on the map, but also on screen as like a little point that, like, if you turn away, it kind of turns to the side. There is a little yellow speech bubble with an exclamation mark that is always with you for the entirety of your journey. No matter where you go, the fact that you know where it is, because the last mission is the same thing over and over and over again, you know it's there. Why is it still on screen? Why can I not turn it off? This is just annoying, honestly. And speaking of annoying notifications, I gotta talk about that Pokemon Professor Mabel. She has research notifications and quests for you. The layout of these quests are so stupid. Catch fire Pokemon 1, catch 5 fire Pokemon. Mission complete. Catch fire Pokemon 2, 3, 4. There's no indication that this will ever end. I don't know if it does. I have genuinely no idea. I don't know where I am in the grand scheme of, like, are there 10 of these per type or what? They act as completed quests. So the quest, like the achieved quest, is this super long list of stuff that I didn't even like actively do. The research tasks are always going because there always seems to be a new one. And then you have this character of Mabel, the professor, pop up as a hologram every 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes. So remind you that, by the way, there are rewards for doing those quests. You should totally check out the quests. I have never wanted to tell a character to go away so much. It is so annoying that it is on screen, just like a fly. I just want to swat it off. I don't understand why they do this. Okay, a couple of pet peeves. I guess these are like small ones. I think because of the new UI with the battle system in particular, right trigger in Legends Arceus, I think, is throw out Pokemon. The amount of times I threw Pokeballs on the floor thinking I was throwing out a Pokemon. As I've played 40 hours, this has become more intuitive, but it didn't feel intuitive to begin with. But I will say props to them. I like the guy who stands around going, hey, you threw away a Pokeball, don't worry about it. Like, I've picked them up. I think that's actually pretty nice. There are also moments in battle where, like, I will accidentally open up the TM menu for Mabel. That will just end up coming up. And this might be as a result of button spamming, which I don't think the new battle mechanics does a lot to discourage. I'm going to talk about the battle mechanics as the kind of last big thing in this video. There are a lot of like broken promises, at least from a gameplay point of view. Being in a city and going inside interiors is one such broken promise, but another is the sewers. After the heartbreak of wandering around a city that has no meaningful interiors, or very few of them, the introduction of the sewers area of the game is very exciting. The moment you get down there, you go, wow, there's like a whole dungeon underneath the city. Except there's not. Every Pokemon that can be found in the dungeon can be found above ground. I'm pretty sure. Maybe there's like one or two that can't, but I'm pretty sure all of them can be found elsewhere. On top of that, there's nothing to find down there. There's no reason to go exploring. There's nothing of interest that I found anyway. And all of the areas of this sewer system look identical. Like, they look absolutely identical. A lack of biomes, I think, is a big problem for this game. Like, there is an ice area, which is, you know, very pretty and nice because it is so distinct. And there's like a little wetlandsy area, which is, you know, very, very pretty and a little bit different. The rooftops are nice to explore, and having the sewers, you know, like, it's nice, but like the lack of diversity within the sewers, the fact that it doesn't connect to the, I don't know, the Underdark or the rogue sewers, or like some cave system, or that there isn't an entrance that pops up through another building. This is the kind of exploration that would make Pokemon feel so much more exciting, and make the idea of a game set in a city alone feel like, oh, but hey, there is something for all of us. I think in particular, the lack of dungeons when it came to the legendary Pokemon at the end of the game really hurt the game. They just kind of appear in random areas of the city that aren't that meaningful. And I do think, like, dungeons in particular, come on, where are we at with this? This is modern day, get to it, Pokemon. This just kind of sucked. Okay, so 3 final big criticisms. And again, to the Elestrals Awakened team who have sponsored this video, thank you so much, Elestrals. Again, join the Kickstarter, linked at the top of the description. To you in particular, please listen up. These are the 3 that I hate the most. Number 1, tutorial play. The tutorial is a slog, and it's better than it was in past games. The tutorial of modern Pokemon games ever since Sun and the Moon has been pretty brutal. I feel like it keeps on just being longer and longer and longer. For the first time in this game, credit to them, it actually feels shorter, and the bits that you can explore in between the tutorial sections, and I'm describing as the tutorial as really anything up until the first 3 side missions you do for Emma. That really feels feels like that's the end of like you've been introduced to everything kind of thing. I think that might even be when you get access to the kind of the whole wide world and you get that kind of open world element for everything. I might be wrong. It might be a little bit sooner. Regardless, it felt too long. It's all those dialogue boxes that just aren't necessary to tell a story. The thing is, if you had voice acting, you probably would not want to pay the voice actors to do a million lines, so you would write better. You would condense the lines into more impactful, meaningful things. It would make the game flow so much smoother. So it's kind of a knock-on effect problem of all these different things. I mention in the Stuff I Like video about the first Wild Zone and that there's like lots to explore, but I also had the same feeling the first time I played Scarlet and Violet. Between the first starting area of Scarlet and Violet and Mezagoza City, which is really the end of the tutorial when you get through the school there is a little area that is explorable. Once you've done it once though, I do imagine on a replay, unless we're replaying it years from now, I can't imagine that, like, if I'm playing this game again in 6 months, I can't imagine this is going to be a fun area to replay through because I've explored it. I know what's there. I'm just going to be wanting to get through the tutorial as quickly as possible to get to the save point where the game feels like, for me, it actually begins and I start having a bit more agency and player choice as to where I go. The thing about open world games generally, and this is an open world game, like it's an open world city. It's open world in the same way Spider-Man's open world. To be honest, Legends Arceus is kind of open world. Like, I know it's open world segments, but it's effectively 3 or 4 open worlds in one game. I think this can work. Like, I really, really do. But I think player agency, being able to go wherever you want, being hindered from going into areas because there are more difficult threats to oppose, so that you need to, like, regroup, stock up, become stronger. That's the ideal way to do this, and make sure it's filled with things to actually find and explore. Zelda obviously does this absolutely fantastically, but I gotta say, Pokemon is still just missing on this front, and like, if you're gonna be an open world game, can you just commit to it, please? Big criticism number 2, the penultimate one, and this is before we get to the battle system, which I really do want to talk about, is the online. So it's the thumbnail of this video. You might be wondering what this is about, if you don't. There are certain Mega Evolution Stones that you can only get through online play. Now, the online play might be somebody else's cup of tea, but it wasn't mine. I played through to the rank that you need to get to. Okay, it's not difficult to get there. It takes you about half an hour, I would have thought. But I don't want to play it. It's not fun. So if I want to get those evolution stones, I obviously have to do something that I don't find particularly fun in the game. It's lame. I don't like that. I shouldn't have to have an online connection to have access to the things that are provided as part of the marketing for the game, which it was. In addition, they're locked behind different bits of time. So right now you can get the Mega Greninja stone, the Greninjite, but you can't get the Delphox or Chestnut one. I'm probably not going to play a new version of this game. I'm not going to do a new run through anytime soon. Like, I'm probably going to leave it a long time. I don't want to burn out on it. But I would have loved to... I have a Chestnut on my team. I'm very excited about the Mega Chestnut design. I would have loved to play through the story with that on my team. But obviously, unless I want to wait to start in a few months' time, that's just not going to happen. So I guess that's something to look forward to in some future day. That doesn't feel like a good selling point. And also, when it comes to the online battling, and I have to talk about this, it's going to seem like such a nitpick, but I have to talk about it because it's so dumb. I know, because I look into these things, that the online battle system is a 3-on-3 battle. This is a lesson that everyone will have to learn once. At some point, maybe you're learning it for the first time here. You take in 3 Pokemon. So you can only have on your team 3 Pokemon. I didn't actually know that. I didn't know whether you had to have 3 on your team or whether you just went in with a team of 6 and selected 3, which seems weird that that's not even an option. And so I selected my party and it said you've got too many Pokemon on your team. It doesn't fit to the rules, right? So then I made up another team. Again, I just wasn't sure, and for whatever reason, I just put 2 in. I wasn't just trying to test this. I just put 2 in. I think maybe I accidentally skipped. And so I went, I wonder if I can go in with 2. And I clicked it and it said, there's not enough Pokemon to meet the rule set. So then I sort of went, okay, cool. Where does it actually say though? It doesn't actually confirm it. I'm pretty sure it's 3, but where does it say? And there's a button that says rules. And I kid you not, nowhere in the rules does it say you need 3 Pokemon on your team. Nowhere. I scanned that thing top to bottom. It says a lot of stuff. It does not say that you need 3 Pokemon. And I know that sounds really nitpicky, but if you're not sure what the rules are, you might look at the rules. And I just think it's dumb. So, a little annoying. It's like a minor gripe, but really, come on. What are you doing, Pokemon? These are all of the things I don't like. However, there is one more thing that is both a giant con, but also a massive plus. And if you're hearing me quite passionately talking about the things I don't like, and you want to hear me quite passionately talking about the things that I do like, that video is linked down below as well. Because Pokemon ZA, despite all of this, won me back. It really, really has. Because a lot of these issues have existed in past Pokemon games that have put me off completely. But let's talk about this battling system. Battling in this game is so good for the fantasy of being a Pokemon trainer. I think it trumps the turn-based system, not in terms of its like depth and complexity for the sake of competitive battling, but given that no battles in the world of Pokemon, or very rarely are they deep or complex in the story, for someone who is just a campaign guy like myself who just wants to play the story, see what's going on in the game, this for me was so much better. That said, it is just a lot of button spamming. It is, there isn't a lot of depth to it yet. It is a promise of something new, of something exciting, but right now it does not have any level of meaningful depth. There is, of course, oh, there's an attack incoming, I better back off. There is, of course, oh, I don't want to just have Head Smash be my rock type move because the recharge time is too low. So why don't I give my Pokemon Head Smash and Roll Out, and that way I can kind of pivot between the two. The ability to select different moves before going into a tough fight, all of that stuff, is good. And I love that the items have like a little bit of a recharge time. That said, there's no limit to the amount of items that you can use. I do think like per battle, or like a 10 item limit might be like really important to kind of self-impose. There was something else as well, and this is actually more to do with the boss battles. With the boss battles, there were two of them that I fell to quite early on. Generally speaking, they weren't that difficult. And to be honest, even these weren't that difficult. There was just like a mechanic that I didn't realize existed because it was still quite early on. The game provides you with a button that says, do you want to continue it on with the progress that you have already achieved? Look, this is easy mode as an option. And you can say, well, Toby, you can just be an adult and not take it. And you're right, I should. That should be like, to be honest, I should nuzlocke it and that should be the end of the game, right? But I wanted to finish the story. I knew that I was about to spend a lot of time making videos and talking about this game, and I clicked, no, I'm gonna keep on with the progress that I've got. Fair enough, that's my choice, right? It's sort of my choice in the way that junk food is a choice, though. I don't think it's good for the overall experience. Like, I really don't think it's the treat that we think it is. I just think it kind of, I don't know, diminishes the quality. It doesn't feel good to beat the boss that way, but at the same time, I've only got so many hours to play the game, and I want to get on with my day. I've got other stuff to do, So yeah, I guess I'll click it.
Future Toby here. I just want to really emphasize this point. The problem is just having the option there suddenly removes all stakes from future boss battles. And look, if they had presented the option to me at the beginning of the game, if I wanted this mode on, easy mode, or even tucked it away in the settings, I probably would have opted for it to be off. But the fact that it's there and offerable to you just meant that all future boss battles, it just didn't matter if I died because I could just keep going with, I assume, infinite lives.
And you might think, well, hang on, if you get walled behind a boss, wouldn't that mean you stop playing? Maybe for a bit, and then I don't know, maybe like come back and try and beat it again, and maybe that want to beat the boss and the achievement you would feel for beating a boss. And if you're doing like, again, like what a Silk Song or like a Hollow Knight are doing, the bosses are scaling with your skill set with games. So as you get better, they're always just out of reach. That's what a good boss battle is. I love that they've moved towards these kinds of boss battles. I think they're very, very interesting. I think they've got a lot of potential. And I'm not expecting Pokemon to become an Elder Scrolls or a Bloodborne, but it definitely feels like it's still a little bit too on the side of either being too easy or too spammy over and over again, that I feel like it's just missing. It's just falling shy of what the potential could be. I am, however, excited for the future of Pokemon, because for all the criticisms of this game, Scarlet and Violet put me off so badly that I stopped making new Pokemon videos for a year. But with this, to my surprise, and going in expecting to not really like it, and I'm going to go into all future Pokemon games with that expectation, because I think right now that's the healthiest approach for me to have, I was actually blown away, fell in love, and felt a little bit like they're winning me back. All of my reasons for that, despite this video, are linked in the description, as well as, of course, yes, today's sponsor, Alestral's Awakened. Please go check out the Kickstarter while there's still time. Don't miss out. Click the Kickstarter link while you're down in the description. And if you have watched both of these videos, the things you liked and the things you don't, please let me know in the comments kind of what your thoughts were about Pokemon Legends EA.